Hans Christian Andersen encourages you to be present for your life. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I found in my travels. Today it is Short Story Tuesday, so I want to talk about an interesting short story that I found. One that has a holiday Christmas type theme. Finding a shortage of those as of late. I'm talking about one here today, and this one focuses on trees. I am referring to The Fir-Tree by Hans Christian Andersen, which was published in 1913. I've talked about Hans Christian Andersen on this channel before, so I don't need to go into that great of detail. Refer to my video on The Ugly Duckling, or Thumbelina, if you want more details about him. But he was a writer, a European writer who lived in the 1900s, that time period. He primarily wrote fairy tales, like The Ugly Duckling and whatnot. Very well regarded for that. Widely viewed as a very interesting and out of the ordinary type character by his contemporaries. He might have been gay, but it's unclear, what exactly, was going on with him at the time. Didn't really care about sex or anything like that. He was asexual maybe, or something else was going on for him. But a pretty fascinating writer, maybe more fascinating than what he wrote, as it turns out. But so that's just something worth noting. But without further ado, let's talk about The Fir-Tree. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So The Fir-Tree focuses, of course, on a fir tree, just a tree with thoughts of its own, and it dreams of growing big and tall, like its neighbors. It's pretty short at the start of the story, but it dreams of just being like the other evergreens or various trees in its area, and it kind of thinks about that day rather than the current present moment. It gets kind of jealous and upset when other trees begin getting chopped down and used for various things. The fir tree asks the animals, the birds, what those trees are getting used for, and it finds out that they're being used for ships. To be used for that, and also for Christmas trees. Although the birds don't exactly know what Christmas is, they're just saying they're being decorated, which the fir tree wants to happen for itself. And the various animals and also the air, the wind and whatnot, tells the tree to be present and in the current moment rather than to be thinking about the future, but the fir tree doesn't really listen to that. However, it does get chopped down eventually, and it's used as a Christmas tree, and it's sitting in a room where someone tells children a bunch of Christmas stories, and the tree thinks this is going to happen forever. I'm very content and happy in this moment. Unfortunately, Christmas does come to an end, so the tree is just placed in an attic in a loft type area and forgotten about. There's mice that hang around, and the tree tells the mice stories, but the mice aren't really grateful for that, and they even call the tree pretty stupid, which upsets the tree a little bit. But while the tree is in the loft, it reflects on its life, wishing that it had, enjoyed certain moments a little bit more. And then one day, people come down, bring the tree outside. The tree gets to be out in the sun a little bit, but it's kind of grown, kind of rotted and whatnot. And some of the people chop the tree into firewood. And it's used for that, and the tree ends up dying. And as the story comes to a close, the narrator just notes, everything eventually comes to an end, and that's where the story ends there. In terms of analysis, there's a little bit worth talking about with the fir tree. One of the ideas that Andersen is focusing on here is that of the act of being present. The fir tree is obsessed with the destination and not so much the journey, so it's not present at all. And this is sort of a cautionary tale that Andersen wants to talk about in his fairy tale, the message that he wants to relay to children. And you see that throughout the story with the world, the air, the wind, everything kind of telling the tree to stay present and in the moment. Allow me to read you an interesting quote from this. "Rejoice in our presence," said the air and the sunlight. "Rejoice in thy own fresh youth." And that's a pretty simple quote. But you see that happen a little bit throughout the story with the tree kind of lamenting that, it's not getting what it wants. It's not being used. The future is not coming fast enough. And the air and the sunlight saying, hey, enjoy what you're dealing with now. Be happy. Experience the world around you and remember this. I think that's interesting, but it also kind of it's very obvious what Andersen is trying to say. He's not being very subtle, but also this is meant for children. So sometimes children do need things spelled out for them. So I understand that. It should be noted at the end of the story, the fir tree does get what it wants. It's able to be used as a Christmas tree, but it's not really able to enjoy it. It keeps thinking about, I focus so much on this moment. I'm not able to sort of think about, what it means, or just simply be here and be present, because I didn't enjoy the rest of my life. I only focused on this moment. And so, and that moment is short-lived. It comes and it goes. Life is really made up of a bunch of those moments that you're supposed to enjoy as they come along. But the tree just simply, it's like, when am I going to get this moment again? It's too busy thinking about the future. So it's very obvious what Andersen is trying to get at here. It's like now versus tomorrow. You have to focus on now. You have to be present for now and enjoy what happens to you in life as it happens. And if you're only focused on tomorrow, you're going to miss, the now that is happening. So very simple message, but very important to tell people so that they can enjoy the good things that are happening to them over time. But Andersen also seems to be depicting a very beautiful and cruel life. Life has its moments of beauty, of being out there in the wind, of being a fir tree, of enjoying Christmas and those precious moments. But it's also interspersed with inevitable cruelty. There's a genuine horror going on in your life, and it seems inevitable. The fir tree is locked in an attic with mice and forgotten about. Kind of bleak when you think about it. And it's chopped down too, which is in itself a traumatic event. People are hitting you with axes and whatnot. That's not good. Not only is it chopped down, but later it's chopped up and used as firewood, and that's it. That's the end of the tree's life. And I think what Andersen might be trying to get at is the idea that life is short and death comes for us all. Nothing is really promised in this life. You do get moments that you're supposed to kind of focus on and be present for that are good, but mostly it's an awful, terrible experience that is just generally bad. And you're going to have to deal with all of that and hope that things get better, and they might not. And that's a real weird message to be sending to children as well. Maybe it was very true at the time when Andersen was writing it, because the early 1900s weren't that great of a time. Also, the World War I was about to kick off, literally a year later in Europe, and it's very much true that life was short for people, and you had to enjoy beauty where you could find it and be present in those moments. But just to kind of depict that as a message for children, maybe that's a European kind of mindset right there. That's a sort of Swedish, Northern Europe kind of ideology to have and to pass along to children, but it does seem kind of like a weird message to send, and a weird way of thinking, because if you truly believe that life is short and cruel and harsh and very few good things are going to happen, you will enjoy those good things, but you'll only ever be able to focus on the cruel. That will really be able to enter your mind, and you'll be trying to survive. And again, if you're trying to survive, you can't really enjoy those moments that are truly good. At least that's kind of my perspective. maybe that's the inadvertent message that Andersen is saying, and he's not actually trying to get that across, but that's what happens in this story, because it's just the way the tree thinks and the events that happen to the tree in the story. If they were to happen to a human being, that would be kind of bleak and awful. Anyway, those are my thoughts on The Fir-Tree by Hans Christian Andersen. An okay short story. I think like for its time, it's pretty interesting. Especially with what Andersen is trying to say, but what he accidentally or inadvertently, or maybe even purposely says alongside it, kind of just leaves you with a downer kind of feeling. And it's like, well, I certainly, I wanted to read this for Christmas, but it certainly left me feeling like nothing really matters. We're all going to die. Christmas, that's just a fleeting moment. Although, again, maybe not exactly what Andersen is trying to say, but that's what gets across. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think I'm kind of overextending the analysis here? Or do you think this is exactly what Andersen is trying to say? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this story or this author if they don't already know, so we can kind of bum them out as well. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and fir tree based travels. Farewell.